Hello and welcome to Fat Bob's TV. My name's Tony Lamb and tonight we're talking to Andy Sables about paintball with schools.
Hello, my name is Steve Gwilliam. I'm a teacher at St Peter's School in York, and we bring our students here every year at the beginning of the academic year. We find it's a great experience to help bond them all together. In our case, in having boarders, some from overseas, it's brilliant to actually integrate them together. Everybody has a great time, great fun, really good value for money, and we all really enjoy it.
Welcome back. Right, Andy, there seems to be a lot of activity in paintball in schools, mainly the private sector, not so much of the public sector. Is there a reason for that, do you think?
Well, I don't know, that's quite an interesting question really. It seems to, we've noticed that we get a lot of private schools, so they're basically fee-paying schools, but not as many state schools. Now, I don't know whether it's because they're self-funding, maybe it's something like that, maybe they're prepared to take a bit more of a risk than a state school is. Having said that, paintball isn't a risk anyway, but there's a perceived risk. And there's a perceived sort of notion that paintball is like a warrior activity, which clearly it's not. It's a sport these days. But why private schools embrace it, and they do, we get most of the private schools around in the area, but not many of the state schools. I don't know. I assume it's the potential risk. I don't mean from the paintballing risk point of view, but the risk that a school is prepared to do something a little bit different to the norm, I suppose. Yeah,
but you mentioned the risk there, but obviously the risk nowadays is a lot less because paintball is one of the most safest sports. Now, with the introduction of low impact paint a few years ago, that makes things a lot better, obviously.
That's right, yeah. I mean, if you look at the statistics, it's something like 3 injuries per 100,000 for rugby. I think it's 2.2 injuries per 100,000 for football. And paintball is actually at 0.2 injuries per 100,000. So statistically, it's very safe. So there's no reason. Now, when it comes to the low impact version of paintball, when we have a school group, we always do the low impact. I mean, we do low impact for our adults now because it's just very good. There's no point having something that's so good and not using it. So we use a different type of paintball these days. The paintball is smaller, it fires much faster, so it's a high velocity, but when it hits someone, it hits with about 1/3 of the impact.
Yeah, because people still like to feel they've been hit, don't they?
Well, yeah, and that's part of paintball. You need to know you've been hit. These paintballs, they hit, it's like being flicked quite hard on bare skin, so you know when you've been hit, but they don't leave the injuries that are associated with sort of what we call the old-fashioned type of paintball. Yeah. So for schools, it's just absolutely perfect.
Wonderful. Right, let's take a quick break. Let's have a look at Homebush. I've played there before, and Homebush is one of the best sites in the country. Have a look at this.
Hi, my name is Ross Bear. I'm the Managing Director of Homebush Paintball. Homebush Paintball was established in 1988. In that time we've developed 18 different combat zones. One of the things we pride ourselves on here at Homebush Paintball is the professionalism that we offer to our customers. We get fantastic reviews back from them, so much so actually 85% of our custom here is in fact repeat business. Homebush Paintball offers every style of paintballing, from rental days for people who are coming along for their first visit here. We do junior days starting from ages 10 and upwards to get people into the sport. We also then cater for walk-ons, players who have got their own equipment and are taking it slightly more seriously. And then of course we've also hosted the European Championships, so we go right through from very young people, from the beginners to the semi-pros, right through to the professionals. The nice thing about Holmbush Paintball is not only are we one of the largest centres in Europe, we've also developed the land into 2 separate sites. So we have our rental days being completely separate from the pro sport days. They have their own separate fields, safe areas and car parks. The array of fields out here is absolutely phenomenal. We've got 18 purpose-built combat zones here, ranging all the way through from the standard woodland fields right through to King Arthur's Castle, the 3-level multi-storey church that we've got, the urban raid field, the village field, the towers field. The terrain here is absolutely fantastic. The variation of woodland is also superb. One of the best game zones I think we have here, certainly a lot of good positive customer feedback, is the church zone. We've actually taken all of the woodland away and we've turned it into a sort of World War I trenches field with a 3-level church at one end with a 45-foot spire on it, and also at the other end we've got a large fort as well. There's a lot of AA guns and emplacements out there, a lot of barricades, a lot of huts, a lot of bunkers. It's a really fantastic game, just plays fantastically well. Everybody wants to use that one.
Hi, my name's Simon. I'm the promotions manager at Holmbush Paintball and I've been here 6 months.
I'm Jason, I'm the site manager and I've been here for about 5 years. With the gameplay zones, I think again it is variety. There's so many here and we have obviously mocked up churches, buildings, 2-storey churches. There's so much here that we can actually like give people to play. There's so many like villages. The village field is another favourite of people, getting quite close in and getting decent amount of play on all different fields and different game styles.
The unique features of Holmbush Paintball, firstly, is that we've put the safe area and the car parks directly in the centre of the site itself. That way, all of the fields that we've got are only a 2-minute walk to, so you don't have these long treks backwards and forwards to some of the furthest fields. The other nice thing about it is that we are a completely independent site. We're not part of a network or a chain. That way, we're able to move very quickly with customer demands and changes in the market, which has made us a market leader. To try and summarise the site in 3 words, well, we already have the industry trademark as Ultimate Paintball Experience, but I guess 3 words that would put us into that category would be professionalism, affordability and unrivalled.
Hi, I'm here with the school group and we love paintballing because it's a fantastic opportunity to meet the kids, get to chat with them, have a laugh, shoot them. We come every year and it's an absolutely fantastic day out.
And that's Holmbush Paintball. I've played there myself and it's an excellent site. You've been there for, haven't you?
I've been there for, I was there about 2 or 3 months ago when the Sennybridge game was moved and it's absolutely superb venue. It's really, really good, top notch. One of the best paintball centres in the country.
Absolutely fantastic site. Right, back onto the school side of it. With it being a school as well, this is pretty good for paintball because obviously most of the schools we want to go midweek.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's going to be a boost for paintball, surely.
Well, it has, yeah. It's a boost for a paintball centre, so it's good to encourage any paintball centre to actually go and actively promote paintball to schools. And the great thing about midweek is that a site is more susceptible then to be able to do a deal. Now, private schools, we're talking about private schools, but obviously state schools it applies to as well. They've got a certain budget, but the great thing is about midweek paintball for a paintball centre is that a paintball centre is more likely to do some kind of a midweek deal, because the other thing as well is that the school groups that go and play paintball, they tend to be quite large groups as well, so you might get 100, 150 students going and playing on a Tuesday afternoon or something like that, so a site would be more sort of willing to give a decent discount for a school group like
Would
that.
you also encourage the teachers to get involved? Because there's nothing like the kids shooting the teacher, would it?
Do you know what?
I would love to that meet.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely vital that the teachers get involved, because these days a cool teacher that takes a group paintballing and then allows themselves to be shot becomes part of the group. They're going to get a respect, aren't they, from the kids, you know, and respect is something that should be it shouldn't be demanded.
Well, it should make it better for the teacher. The
relationship, yeah, of course it should, yeah. And the thing is like I said, the teachers will get to know the pupils better, the pupils will get to know the teachers better, they get a better relationship with each other. And if you're on more of a friendly terms, then I would have thought that getting those kids to maybe behave better in class, it's got to be much easier after it.
Yeah,
it's
true.
like a bonding
also,
session.
back on the safety side of it again as well, do you sort of suggest that the teachers look up the UKPSF?
That's absolutely vital. The UKPSF, the United Kingdom Paintball Sports Federation, that's paintball's governing body. Now, they have a certain standard which is called an accredited venue. So basically, a paintball centre can be a part of the UKPSF, or it can be an accredited venue. When it's accredited, it's passed certain stringent sort of safety checks, certain things that it had to do to get this accredited status. It's absolutely vital that a school would look for an accredited logo on the website, or if it's not on the website, if they don't go to the website, they phone direct to make sure that they ask on the other side of the phone, are you an accredited venue? And if they're not, ask why. Because in this day and age, there's absolutely no reason why any paintball centre shouldn't be an accredited.
Well, obviously, the safer the teachers realise it is, obviously, the more likely they are to book anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, that's it, exactly. The teachers have to have done certain like risk assessments. An accredited site will have the risk assessment ready for a teacher, and they can either download it or it can be emailed very, very simply. A teacher doesn't need to make it, he doesn't have to do a risk assessment, because it will be provided for them.
Well, so they have to have faith in the site they're going to, don't they?
Well, that's it, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they've got a duty of care, haven't they?
Yeah.
And that's obviously for the other members of staff and also for the kids as well.
Right, on the size of the group, Andy, is there a sort of minimum or a better size group as opposed to sort of 15 people or 30 people?
Well, if it's midweek and the group is quite low, let's say there's 8 or something like that, then a site's less likely to want to open and less likely to want to give any kind of a decent deal for a school. But what tends to happen at the end of a term or something like that, as a reward to kids who've done well, they'll sort of get a whole year group. So you could be talking sort of 80, 120, 150, 200 players, going all in one day, which is it's great fun.
Thanks much, Andy. That's all for schools.
Now, one of the things that confuses most newcomers to paintball is the propulsion system that actually you connect to your paintball marker. There's so many different types, different sizes. You've got CO2 or air. It's probably a good idea for us to take some time and go through exactly what you can get, what you can't get, and what it's used for. Who's Fat Bob? There isn't anybody called Fat Bob. Fat Bob's the name of the shop. And the reason I'm calling it was because we were years ago, 1996, we were sat around thinking, we're going to open a shop, what can we call it? And we didn't want to call it anything that was normal. So we had a bit of a sort of brainstorming session, and we just couldn't stop laughing, and we ended up with this Fat Bobs. Wouldn't it be great if we called it Fat Bobs?
Turn it up now.
The shop started in 1996, so we've been going for 16 years now. It started off on the site just as a small shop, just selling the odd few masks and a few cheap guns and things like that, and it's grown from strength to strength.
You gotta get more, so clap your hands, clap your hands. Nothing but love to give. Turned up, you don't hear me though. Here's the love for your stereo. So clap your hands, clap your hands. Nothing but love to give. We are one.
The shop does pretty much everything. We have a large walk-in shop, which is what you're in now, the mega store. We do online as well, so we have a massive online shop, and also we go out and about and go to the various different events in the battle trailer.
We are one tonight, and we're breathing in the same air. So turn up.
This is the Fat Bob's battle trailer, and we take this throughout the country to various different events. So we take it to tournaments and scenario events, so tournaments like the Masters, and scenario events like the Super 6. We carry guns, packs, goggles, bottles, everything that you'll need, especially those things that you might forget. And also attached onto the side of this battle trailer, we have a tech stand where we have Paul Ty, who comes and does all our teching for us, and he techs every different type of paintball marking.
Here's a love for your stereo. So clap your hands, clap your hands. Like pop, 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 pop.
The megastore itself, we have a few things that we have in here, which might be different to anybody else. If you look around at the top of the shop, you'll see 60 feet of goggles that we always keep in stock. So we've got 3 20-foot walls that are always crammed with goggles. So we like pride ourselves on 60 feet of goggles. We have the 24 karat gold DM9, which is the first 24 karat gold paintball marker in the UK. So we have that up on show all the time. The other thing with the shop is we have pretty much every spare for pretty much every type of marker that there is. So we have lots of spares kits, so if somebody comes in with something that's broken, maybe the circuit board's gone or they need a wiring harness or something like that, we've probably got that in stock ready to go. Usually that's given out free as well. We just buy the kits. If somebody comes in and they want something fixed, we usually fix it for nothing.
Turn it up now.
Prize the shop in 3 words. Number 1 would be honesty. When people come in and they want honest advice, we always give honest advice. And the second word, how would we sum it up? Probably inclusiveness, if that's a proper word. I don't know if it's a proper word, inclusiveness. And the third thing I would say would be stock. This is the mega store, and we try and keep in everything that we have online. We try and keep in stock in the shop. And if you have a bit of a wander around, you'll notice that, you'll see that how much actual stock we've got. Tony, what we'll do is to start with, let's go right from basics. Let's go back 20 years and let's talk about 12 grams. This is a 12 gram CO2 cartridge, and if you've got a pistol, if you're going to use a pistol, you'd probably still use one of these now. But these are used on sites probably until the late 90s, when everybody changed over onto the bigger bottles, which we'll go through in a second. But this is full of CO2, carbon dioxide. It's under 800 psi of pressure inside there, and that's what goes into the grip of pistols. So that's what we're always using in the old days.
That's all I was. And we still look around the woods today now at paintball fields. You will find these rusting everywhere.
You will do, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And you still see them on sites as well. It's but like I say, it's mainly for pistols. And then if you want to if it's a small, basically a small cartridge, fits into the butt of a pistol, and it's nice and self-contained.
How many shots would you get out of those?
You probably look at it depends on the pistol, but usually maybe 20, 25 shots, something like that, before you've got to change it. Yeah. So that's CO2. Now, after a while with CO2, somebody came out with a bulk filled CO2 bottle. So we went from these to CO2. These are very, very cheap. It's a cheap bottle, 800 psi of pressure inside, which is what CO2 runs at. It's what we call ambient temperature, 15 degrees at sea level. These retail for around about 20 to 25 pounds, so they're not going to break the bank, but there are less and less sites that are using CO2 these days. So even though they're available, you usually get them in sort of quite cheap kits, wouldn't you? If you buy a cheap kit with a remarker,
like a ready-to-play kit.
Yeah, like a ready-to-play kit. They usually come with CO2 bottles rather than air these days.
Yeah, and the good thing is they've got a safety valve built in as well, a 3-tier pressure valve. So if for some reason your pressure spikes, CO2 comes out there, it might shock you, but at least it won't take it out.
Yeah, it used to traditionally it used to happen if you put the CO2 on the back parcel shelf of your car when it was a hot summer's day, and
lose your back window.
These burst discs would go. But because it's got a burst disc in it, the burst disc bursts and ruptures before the bottle does. So it's a safety thing. And that for years is what everybody used, wasn't it? It was a CO2,
and sites are still using it.
And some sites are still using it. Yeah, that's right.
It's really how we've come in last.
It is, because CO2 has its own problems, doesn't it? I mean, there was problems with chilling down in the winter.
I remember filling them at sites many years ago. I had to wear big, thick gloves to weigh them, and it was so awkward and so not easy to fill.
Yeah, that's right. You've got to freeze them down. There's a certain way of chilling them down to about minus 18 degrees, and you decant CO2 into them, and it works on weight. So basically, the 20 ounce of this 20 ounce bottle means that when it's filled with CO2, it weighs 20 ounces, and it goes on a set of scales. Now, let's fast forward a few years. And all of a sudden, we're at compressed air. Now, compressed air, it works in a completely different way. You're not looking at weight anymore. There's no CO2 or anything like that inside that. This is compressed air, usually from a compressor. So, you compress the air inside the bottle. This particular one here is a 3,000 psi cylinder. So you have 3,000 psi in the bottle here, and this on top here is a regulator. So this regulates the air pressure down from 3,000 psi to 800 psi at the top. You can get various different pressures coming out of the top, out of the regulator, depending on which gun it's going to go in. But we're not going to go into that technical side of it for now. Basically, 3,000 psi through a regulator to 800 psi. Now, we talk about 800 psi because when we're going back to the CO2 from years ago, that was what ambient temperature, 15 degrees at sea level. That was the temperature, or the pressure, should I say, of the CO2 inside this bottle. So as guns were used with CO2, For a quick changeover, that's why the output pressure was 800 psi on the regulator of a compressed air bottle.
And also the air is more efficient as well. Like you say, it's a lot safer in most conditions as well.
That's right, yeah. You don't need...
It's cleaner.
It's much cleaner for your gun. The other thing as well is consistency. Yes. So where CO2 would be all over the place with velocity, these are very, very consistent now. So it's just a much cleaner, much more modern, much better way of running a paintball marker. And what you have to remember as well is that every single paintball marker on the market will run on air, but not many will run on CO2. As a rule, if it's electronic, you need air. Yeah. If it's non-electronic, you can run with CO2 as well. And obviously these come in different sizes. So your standard size, which is your 35-pound bottle, is a 0.8 litre. These are the ones you see everywhere. You see on paintball sites up and down the country. And this is the entry-level compressed air bottle.
And also as well, these have got 2 safety valves on these. One protects the bottle and one protects your marker.
That's right.
You've got one at 5k on this particular model, one at 1.8k.
So basically what's happening is as you're filling the bottle, the 5k or 5,000 psi protects the bottle itself, and then the other side of the regulator, the 1.8k, it protects your gun.
You've also got a gauge on here to tell you what volume of air you've got in there, so you should be fine on that one.
Yeah, that's an important distinction actually. With CO2 you have the weight, with compressed air you have the pressure. All right, so you can see on your gauge, as your gauge starts going down, when you get to about 800 psi with a mechanical marker, that's when you start problems. As soon as you get down to around about 200 or 300 psi with an electronic one, that's when you start to run out. But these come in all sorts of different sizes. If you're a bit of a milsim man, and you want to hide it in the butt of your marker, then a 0.2 litre. These, with the 0.8, usually going to get around about 600 shots.
Yeah, depending on your marker and your efficiency, but that's pretty much
about 600, yeah. So you'd say probably maybe about 200 shots with one of these. And that goes into the butt of the gun and off you go. But now,
they're really good for the small, the 50 cal markers.
Yeah, for kids as well, because they're very light as well. Yeah, that's right. Now, let's have a look at some of these big boys here.
Progression again, these obviously a slightly bigger bottle. This is 1.1 litre. It's still got your 2 safety valves on there, and still got your gauge as well, but it's a lot lighter bottle.
This is a carbon fibre wrap.
Carbon fibre wrap, yes. They're a bit stubbier. But they're a lot better balanced on your gun rather than some of the big heavy aluminium ones.
And also the other thing with these bottles as well is that these will go up to 4,500 psi. So it's a much higher pressure, so you get more air in there, so you do actually get more shots.
Play longer.
Now one thing that you do have to make sure that you get right when you're out buying and you're looking to buy something like this is you make sure that the regulator on top is CE approved. In the UK it needs to be CE approved, so you need to be looking for a pi mark.
Just slightly small on there.
Just a really small mark, it's on there, but you don't buy a bottle with a regulator on it that doesn't have a pi mark. It's not actually legal in this country. Something else you need to know about these as well, they have a 5-year test on them. There's a born date on the bottle, which is the date it was manufactured. 5 years after that date, it needs to be hydrostatically tested, which means that a company will take it, they'll pressurise it, they'll test it, just to make sure that there's nothing wrong with the bottle, and they'll give you another 5-year extension on the life of the bottle. What we do need to realise as well is you can only have this test done twice. So realistically, the bottle's only got 15 year life. So it's 2 tests in its life. And the absolute major no-no on any of these bottles, any of the compressed air bottles, is you don't make sure you don't put any oil anywhere near the top there, anywhere near the regulator. Yeah.
You've also got to as well make sure with the air as well, especially the high pressure air. Make sure you've got your fill nipple, which is going to be quite clear all the time. You're getting any muck or a bit of grit in there, it can cause problems with the fill.
That's right,
and it can make the bottle not work properly.
This is right. The main problems happen with regulators are due to dirty inside the.
So make sure you keep this on. Also, as well, a good thing if you need a thread cap on it to keep the thread a lot cleaner. This one's got an O-ring on the top as well, which do degrade after a while. Now, if you start banging these about a bit, what happens? The top lip there breaks or indents down.
Yeah, that's right.
And it can cause air leak and cause problems, in which case you need to replace your rig.
So for about £2, you can protect your £150 plus bottle, and you protect the threads on there, and it's the way to do it. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of insight into what you use to power the paintball markers these days. You've got your CO2 on one side, compressed air on the other with the 3000, or if you want to go really mad, 4,500 psi. And those are the top end tournament guys and scenario players. That's air, that's how it works. You've been watching Fat Bob's TV. See you next week.